What's up, my boys?
What up, pimps?
Not long time ago we made a video called How to be a clueless tourist in Lisbon. So now we are gonna make a video called
How to be a smart tourist.
Wise tourist. Rule number 1 is do not waste time standing in line.
And rule number 2 is never forget rule number 1. Most tourists, it seems, they stand in line all day. Hey guy, you have 3 days, maybe 2 days in Lisbon. Maybe you shouldn't spend
50% of your time standing in line.
Yeah, what are you, stupid?
And also you want to return back home with some memories that are unforgettable. And it's pretty easy to forget the 2 hours of standing in line for an elevator in Lisbon.
So Amalie, what do we do?
What are you really into? Are you just going to this museum because all the other tourists goes to this museum? Or do you go to this museum because you really think that it adds value to your life?
Just ask yourself, why?
Did you ever stop and ask yourself?
The reason why Lisbon has become such a popular tourist destination is because it is an extremely beautiful city and people, they come here for the charm and the historic architecture.
And also Lisbon is so rich in its history, so you really want to get in touch with the history when you are here. But you don't have to go to all these museums to learn about the history, because the city itself is so old that it tells the history by itself.
Write that down.
When you walk around in Lisbon, it's a fun challenge to give yourself to find as many different viewpoints and miradouros, because there are a lot of angles to Lisbon where you really get the Instagram moment going.
It's really ridiculous to spend 2 hours of waiting and 10 euros to enter the Santa Justa elevator to go and see the viewpoint from there.
Which we have done. Why would you go to the elevator when you can go to Rocio or Lumi rooftops and spend 10 euros on a bottle of wine? No waiting, nothing. It's a no-brainer. If you are really into the historic sites and the tourist attractions, go in the morning. The wise tourist in Lisbon walks.
Especially in the historical center, there are so many small narrow streets that you won't be able to go if you are in a tuk-tuk or a car or whatever.
Get lost.
Just let your intuition walk you wherever you want to go.
It's a big city, so you can't walk everywhere if you don't have endless time.
Especially because you shouldn't only stay in the touristy area. You gotta go out of the city. And when you do that, some of the best ways to do it is not by the tuk-tuk. Because the tuk-tuk is not from Portugal. It has nothing to do with the Portuguese culture. It's just a tourist trap. If you want to do that, go to Thailand. What you much rather want to do is you either want to get yourself an electric scooter, or you want to use Uber, which is quite affordable.
The Uber drivers are really slow at arriving to you. We always wait on average 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So we actually use e-scooters that are widely available in Lisbon. And you can just take them immediately, bam! That's really fun. That's much more fun than a tuk-tuk. And you can drive on them several hours.
And they actually go like long distance.
Yeah.
We use the brand called Lime, because that is the brand that has most of the scooters.
Yeah.
They are always everywhere.
Food is one of the main reasons you should come to Lisbon. So please, guys, can we, not just eat the food that we've tried a million times before?
Do not eat a hamburger. You gotta get out of your comfort zone when you visit a new country.
And I mean, the Portuguese cuisine is very unique, and if you haven't tried it before, it's a whole new world. It's not like you have to eat Portuguese from morning to evening when you're here, but at least go to a few of the tascas here in Lisbon.
And they might not look very fancy. It's usually not very nice lighting. It's not very cozy in there. But then they serve you this big, beautiful fish that they just caught the same morning, and it's just so fresh. The same actually goes for the coffee. We see so many tourists at Starbucks, and Starbucks is good, don't get me wrong.
No, it's not.
But you are in Portugal. The Portuguese embrace their own coffee culture so much, so go for a local coffee.
You should try a bica, and actually bica means bebe isto com açúcares, which means drink with sugar. Try to be a local. It's much more fun when you do it the local way, because the local, they do it the best way. It's like a mountain goat. They are insane at climbing those mountains. So if you meet a mountain goat, ask them for directions. Also, when you go eating, you should eat after 9.
If you want to get the authentic atmosphere at the Tascas, you can't enter the restaurant before 9 o'clock.
There are so much good Portuguese food here, and we have made several food vlogs that you should check out. But the Portuguese desserts is something that you really have to try. So instead of going to McDonald's for a chocolate muffin, you should get a pastel de nata or ovos molhos.
Or any other Portuguese treat, because I think Portugal is the country with most sugar sweet treats.
Go crazy.
You are on vacation after all.
Yeah, calories don't count.
If you want to be fancy and you still want to have very traditional food, there is the place to do so. It's called Pape, and it's almost like a gangster restaurant, but a classy gangster restaurant, because there's no gangsters there,
we
but
don't know
you do
that.
feel like a gangster when you are there.
I want you to kill him.
The point is that if you want fancy Portuguese food, it's possible. And Pape is probably the best place to do it. Another wise tourist in Lisbon tip is don't go to Timeout Market. It's so packed with tourists that I'm sure they wouldn't mind losing a few customers because of this video.
It's not gonna be an intimate tasting at all. We think that you should go to the Mercado de Camp de Ric, which is another food market that is so authentic, much smaller, and with really, really, really good food.
Really good food?
Really good food.
Really good food. The atmosphere is much better, and I mean, yeah.
You're gonna eat with the locals there.
As mentioned, it's okay not to eat Portuguese every meal. So, of course, you should try some of the non-Portuguese restaurants in Lisbon. I mean, go to Bubu's for amazing Lebanese,
Fusion,
creative,
like, yeah.
whatever.
And for an insane Portuguese-Brazilian experience, go to a Nossa Casa.
Yeah.
If you want to get really fancy, but still be located in a very unique setting, you should go to Je ne sais quoi Asia.
Or go to Saldana for the best pizza in town at Buena Pizza. There are so many more we could recommend, but that's saved for the guide we are currently making.
Making the best inside guide you will ever see of Lisbon. For so many people, traveling also means shopping. But honestly, when you are in a foreign country, do not go and shop at your favorite stores. Don't go to H&M, don't go to Zara.
And I mean, I think like limiting shopping to something that is truly unique to the place you are, because
Yeah.
I mean, why are you going to Lisbon to go to these worldwide shopping?
And get another black top.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? Be creative, get out of your comfort zone, boy and girl. Mostly
Mostly girls, I guess. There are even a lot of different markets here in
Yeah.
Lisbon. That
Flea
you should-
markets.
And at these markets you can find so many amazing Portuguese goods.
I don't think they will change your life, but we like the charm and the coziness of walking around and, you know, getting real honey or a little tote bag with Lisbon.
Or what they usually would say, the best cheese in Portugal
Yeah,
is
actually.
on every market in Portugal.
Yeah, actually, most markets have. The cheese is so good here. But you have in Principial. Most markets are on Sundays, but do your research and find them yourselves. But you also have one at Feira da Lala. Mostly garbage at the market, but you will find hidden treasures.
You can find treasures there, definitely. It's every Tuesday and every Sunday.
Yeah. Also in Belém, actually.
Which is a mixture between vintage stuff and new produced stuff, jewelries, postcards. We just got vintage postcard there, and that is so cool. So if you want to send a postcard from Portugal, it's really nice to find one of those vintage photos from the city. It's really cool.
And the other day we went to this amazing furniture shop that you should consider going to as well. It's in Mavila. It's called Continue do Vintage. It's a huge warehouse, and then they just have thousands of vintage furniture.
And since Continue to Vintage is in a very different neighborhood, we might as well talk about neighborhoods. Because in Lisbon there are your must-go-to neighborhoods in the historical center. And that is Baixo Teatro, it is Alfama and Bairro Alto.
Yeah.
All these places you will definitely go. But you should actually, as a wise tourist, also go further out.
We have spent a year living in Saldana, and I mean it's 25 minutes from the tourist hub, but yet it's such a different area. Like you don't really see that many tourists, and yet it's vibrant. A lot of restaurants, a lot of interesting stuff to do. When you come to Lisbon, it's easy to be stuck in the center because you feel like, well, that's where the only interesting things to do are. Camp de Ric, where you have Mercado de Camp de Ric. It's not just the market you find there, it's also the French delicacies,
Portuguese delicacies.
Yeah.
It's one of those areas where you feel like time stopped.
The last neighborhood I want to highlight is our neighborhood where we live now, because we just moved in Ajuda. And I mean, I love this area.
Ajuda is amazing. It's like a village within the city.
Just go to our new favorite restaurant, Mistrias, and then sit outside if the weather allows it and enjoy the little square with the charming buildings. Like it's an Alfama, but without the tourists.
Where would a wise tourist stay in Lisbon? Because you actually don't have to stay in Alfama or in Baixo or in Bairro Alto. You are most likely to be there anyway. So if you go out to some of the other areas like Ajuda, Saldana, Camp de Ric, and you stay there, you do already have two experiences, because you wake up in one area and then you walk into the city center, and that way is probably my favorite way to explore a new city, because I get two vibes.
So to wrap the wise tourist up, I think
you are already on the right track because you clicked on this video.
Yes.
So you are doing research.
Yeah, exactly, because that's the point. I think the wise tourist does research before going to Lisbon, and I realize that's a lot to ask for most people, because most people who come here, it seems they just go where the wind takes them, and usually that's the most predictable places they end up.
And that's the whole point of this video.
Because if you don't do your research, you'll end up going to places like Hard Rock Cafe,
Starbucks, McDonald's.
Because if you are a wise tourist, you will know that instead of going inside the Belém Tower, you'll buy a 6-pack of Super Bock and sit down and look at it while enjoying the sunset.
And that way you will also know that you shouldn't stand in line to the elevator at Santa Justa, because you would much rather want to spend your money at a rooftop like Rocio and enjoy a nice glass of wine while enjoying the view to the city.
You have to go the extra mile, and the work you put into the research, you will benefit from it 10 times. Am I right, honey?
Especially because if you... especially because...
Yeah, come on.
Turn on tall.
Yeah, no, that.
You want to be prepared, but you also want to be open. So if somebody invites you in on sangria at a festival or a party, you definitely go, even though you had planned to go on a rooftop.
It'd be like, this is not on my
to-do list.
This is not on TripAdvisor. Amalie, was that it?
That was it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember to subscribe and like the video. And
also go to Hard Rock Cafe and get a beer and a burger and maybe a t-shirt.
See you in the next vlog, guys. Até logo.
Até logo.
Tchau, tchau.
Um prazer me conhecer.